Welcome to Lesson 10 in the B book. This week we're working on 2 out of the lesson book, page 22 and 23, and we have 1 out of the technique book on page 12 called Drops and Lifts. That's the one you should start with at home. We're also doing Penguins on Parade, and I've got that in a separate video, and that's the one that we're going to perfect, and we're going to do lots of fun things with that. So that's separate. We're going to work on that for a few weeks off to the side. But for the regular business, these 2 pieces right here, for the main part, they're just practicing their sight reading. We get lots of music in the prep course, which is great. So it's lots of repetitive, because we know kids that are very small are just, they're really your sight reading. They're not putting a lot of brain work into it. They're just trying to read it and play it, and that's it. So we're getting lots of practice. This one's not too different. The only thing that's really different that they've not really done before, they may not even notice they haven't done this, is the thirds with right hand playing also too. So we have a harmony in the left hand while we have also the C in the right. So it's going to be, and I would have them play that in advance, because this is, the darker it gets, the more scary it looks like they can't do it. They can. This is no big deal. And if they've done that a few times before they ever start playing, that's great. And still, it's a great thing to have them say the names of the notes. Remember, that's our goal by the end of the book, is to make sure that they have all of the notes learned on the staff in C position. That's pretty important. After that, we don't really focus as much, and it'll slow you down if we don't have that done. This song, it starts with thirds. Then we have seconds here. This is the legato. So the beginning, you'll notice the first time you play it through is forte, the second time is piano. So when you bounce back, you echo it, and the piano it's quieter the second time. That's kind of a classical thing to do in a classical style. So, and they also want us to make sure that the reason why we have so many repeats is so that we can go back and play the beginning without missing a beat. So this one, I'm just going to go ahead and play it for you. And then I'm going to play an extra measure or 2 after the repeat, so you can hear how there's no pause as we go back. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is repeated from the top. This is different. So that's how that one goes. This next piece is a little bit different because of the first measure. It's got kind of a funny rhythm where it starts with a quarter note and then a half note and then back to quarter notes. Half note, half note, half note, and a half rest. So this is quiet for 2 beats. If you don't want to count it out, you could count it 1, 2, 3, 4, or you could just do what I like to do in my head, which is 1, 2, rest, rest, play, play, and then keep going. The half rest looks like a hat. I think that's why we have hats on all these pages, is to give us a talking point here about what it looks like. The half rest sits on a line like a hat does, and a whole note looks like a hole where you fall into it, and those are on the other pages. So the other one looks different. It's hanging down, and a hole, like a hole in the road. Okay, so I'll play this one for you. I'll count this one because the counting is a little trickier. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. You'll notice that spot right there is where we have a third. We start with force, and then we have a third here, and so that needs to be paid attention to. And then we just walk it up with these seconds. All right, so that's how that one goes. The next one with our technique. It's less about the notes, and it's more about the wrist. Remember, you can always push the elbow forward a little bit to make sure that when we lift, we're going towards the fall board of the piano and not up, away from the piano. We want to go this way, because we don't want our fingers to get too far away. And this does the trick. So we want to keep moving this way. I've been kind of on this Irish kick lately, and I've been working on, I started playing Danny Boy, it's a really simple, it's not difficult, but it was starting to sound kind of flat, and I realized I wasn't doing this as well as I should have. It was kind of just sounding like I was doing arpeggios, and well, we don't want it to sound like that. Instead, I got back and I said, well, let's really get these wrists moving and see if that just helps, so that my hands are doing what I want the music to sound like. So let's see if I can play this. And once I got my hands moving, it sounded better. So if your child is having trouble with making it work, ask them to make it sound pretty. Try to make it sound pretty without playing too quietly, because this is mezzo forte. It's not actually supposed to be super quiet. So let's look at how this actually works. It's 4/4 time. So we're on for 2 and then we rest for 2. On for 2, off for 2. So we start, this is kind of a Mozart kind of thing to do, where he's got these pairs of notes and he expects us to be able to make it light and airy and sweet. And all right, forte first, then piano for the echo. Rest, 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 rest. I said rest, there is no rest there, and it repeats. So just make sure that when they're doing this, they're going towards that fall board. When they come back down, they're going to play the same thing again, because this measure, it repeats, and then these are thirds. So these are fourths and these are thirds. These are fourths and these are thirds. All right. And then for the paperwork for this week, this is where they just want you to identify, is this a second, a third, or a fourth? So they're going to have to eyeball this and tell you what it is. This is the melodic, this is the harmonic, so you can reinforce those words again. And down here, you can just follow directions. They want you to write in another whole note, obviously higher than the C and lower than the G, so they can draw those on. If your child really cannot draw these, and that's just an impossible thing to ask them to do, you could draw it and have them tell you if you did it right or wrong. Okay, and now we're back, of course, to naming each of these notes. This is just out of the Note Speller book. So we're just practicing treble clef names and bass clef names. And here they want you to actually draw the notes on here. You want to pay attention to the stems, of course, and the stems, they go up in treble and down in bass, and let them take a look at which side they're on. Okay, and then the last page, they get to do some drawing. Our quarter rests here are kind of a crazy shape to draw, so let them have fun with that, and they can draw some of these in. And then here they're asking you to tell you what it is. Is it a quarter, is it a half, or is it a whole? All right, and that's paperwork. Have a good week.